I'm going to go ahead and go live. Welcome to our fun Friday, August 13th, Friday the 13th, here with the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. I am John Lavenia. Hey, Daisy, good to see you. I'm guessing we're going to have more people showing up here in just a bit. And of course, if you're catching this on YouTube, we are glad that you are here with us as well. I've got some ideas that came to me while in the gym, which happens a lot. Hey, Edward, welcome, Edward. But before I get into that, quick announcement. We did not have practical entrepreneurial tips today. That happens every other week. So we're going to have that next Friday. But we do have today our Be Heard session, which is happening at 6 p.m. We're just 2 months out now from a little regional event that we're going to be doing here in the United States for members. And so we're going to finalize some plans, I think, today. That would be good. And also in the UK, we have some of our members getting together in the UK. And so definitely you could check out all of the details on that on our Facebook group. In the meantime, hey, Gail, Sandy, Lindsay, welcome everyone. In the meantime, I've got an idea that I want to share with you. And depending on how many people want to talk about this, we may be brief or we may run long today. But it's an idea that has come up again and again and again. It's one that I think that people have some familiarity with here in this group. Perhaps you've done this for yourself, and that is what has been known as a dream board, which I haven't done a whole lot of, right? I like my aesthetics, I like to look, studious, and I've got my guitars and, some other motorcycle and gun memorabilia. But besides that, it's pretty, I don't want to say Spartan because I like the way it looks. Okay. I got my plants. Okay. But one of the things that I've noticed is that there are these things that I can't seem to get out of my mind. Like, this new Indian motorcycle. I keep thinking about that. There's this other thing that my wife is campaigning for me to get, which is a big Ram pickup truck, which I've never bought a pickup truck before. I'm a sedan guy. I know that makes me kind of old school or whatever, but have you guys seen the Ram Limiteds? Oh my goodness. Like $70,000 for a pickup truck, right? Gorgeous, right? It's like a Lexus inside. I love Lexus, but these are things that I think are nice to look at, right? I mean, why do we buy this stuff? I've got this watch I've got my eye on, and what is it about that one? There's millions of watches, right? Hell, you can look at your phone and tell what time it is, right? You need a watch. So it's just certain things that different people are interested in. And so I was thinking about, how much do I actually look at this stuff? And it's not often, right? Because I'm busy, right? And who isn't? We're all busy. We got our work. There's things we need to do, and we need to stay on purpose. And my space is very purposeful. Yeah, purposeful. It's aesthetic as well, but it's purposeful. And I was thinking about something as it relates to a concept which we've talked about again and again in this room, and that is autosuggestion. This came up for me recently with a group of people who I was talking with in terms of their own ability to stay focused on their goals and have a bit of certainty that they could actually reach them. And the mental imagery that comes to mind is different for each of these individuals, right? Hey, Comey, good to see you. And so it's a different picture. Like, what do you want? That's probably the most profound question we can ask ourselves. What do you want? And sometimes people think they need to force themselves to have this vision, right? Because after all, like Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people perish. So what is this thing? I need to go ahead and I need to set up, a shrine or something, and I need to force myself to sit here and think about what I want. No, it's the thing that you can't get out of your mind. It's the thing that you really want. And the trouble comes in when we don't give ourselves a more crystallized image of that. Because I'll tell you, one of the things that I think a lot of you want here is financial independence. All right, let's talk about that as a concept here. Can you picture? All right, so I just gave you a couple of pictures in your mind. You may or may not be able to see in your mind a motorcycle, a truck, a wristwatch, right? So, and you may have different images in your mind than I do on those things, and those things may mean nothing to you. That doesn't fire you up. Okay, fine. But let's say financial independence is one of those things that fires you up. And I think it's good and right for you to do so. As well as Waddle said in The Science of Getting Rich is a most noble pursuit, right? I mean, you can be more and do more and have more in life with money than you can without. Best way to help the poor is to not be one of them. I mean, try and win that argument. Like, it's good and right for me to not have the ability to provide services beyond my own physical presence, right? I mean, that's what money does. So financial independence or financial liberty, or use whatever words are most powerful for you. What does that look like? Did you get a picture in your mind right now? It wasn't a watch or a motorcycle. What does that look like for you? And when we think about this idea of autosuggestion, that which we tell ourselves about ourselves and where we're going all day long, when we do that, right, what happens? It induces faith. It induces a bit of expectancy and knowingness, and a relaxed confidence that, yes, that's being delivered right on schedule. But what if we don't have a picture for it? Here's the problem. For a lot of people, they don't have a picture for it. So the idea of autosuggestion, in other words, keep thinking about that, keep seeing the pictures in your mind, right? The idea of being able to run that program on yourself, in other words, to program what many have called the subconscious mind, which is actually the army that goes out and does the work for you, not your conscious mind, not just what you think, okay, but the images that are repeated over and over again with faith and expectancy into that area of your consciousness, which you're not consciously thinking about, right? That's the trick. I heard a story about a guy who he had put on his dream board, right? This idea, he put this picture of a car, a certain kind of car, but it wasn't exactly the color of the car that he thought he wanted, but it was a picture. It was convenient. He cut it out of a magazine. He put it on the board. And some time went by, and it was time for him to go ahead and buy this car. And turns out that when he went to get the car, it was the color, not the one that he thought he wanted, but it was the color that was on the board that he had been looking at for a year, let's say. And when he saw it, he was like, that's the car. Now, here's the question. Was it always that color, or was it just because he kept seeing that color every day and grew into a higher state of affinity with that color, that now when he saw the real thing, he knew that was it? I don't know. So we got to be careful what we put on the board. Well, we got to be careful really what we put in our mind. The board is just a tool for you to use, because that's pretty much what we're going to get. There have been countless stories where people have cited that in fact, I think it was in the movie The Secret, which some of you have seen, where John Nasseroff, I think it was talking about how he had this picture of this house, right? And then he realized it was some years later, he had moved and he's living in this other house now. He, made money and bought a nice house. Anyway, he was pulling out of his archive old images and, dream board kind of stuff, and realized he's actually in that house that was on that dream board 10 years ago. It's the exact same house. So be careful with this stuff. It's that powerful. But back to my original point, if we have no image for what we want, if what we say we really want is something as what's the best word for it? Nebulous, perhaps? Something nebulous, like not concrete, like here's the wristwatch, here's the car, right? But something perhaps a bit loftier, right? Like financial independence, or like being a contributor into, some project, some movement, some organization, right? If that's not crystallized, if that's nebulous, right? Like a nebula, where is it? It's kind of vague, right? So if that's how we're experiencing our intentions, then how is it that we can walk around with those images in our mind all day? I would argue that we can't. We can't. If concepts remain concepts only, then we're falling short. we're falling short in terms of our own ability to program our subconscious mind, or whatever you want to call it, to going out and doing our bidding for us. People sometimes think that, successful people, like here's the guy with the nice car, the girl with the beautiful house, right? Or the ideal relationship, or fill in the blank with whatever point of potential envy or comparison that you may have with that other person who's doing better than you in that area based on your assessment, okay, and your evaluation of their results versus yours, comparing your insides to their outsides. But sometimes people will assume that person, well, if we get down to scripture, right, ask and it shall be given you. Well, maybe they ask better than I do. Maybe they pray better than I do or something. And maybe God or the universe or omnipotence does their bidding because somehow they are favored and exceptions are made for them. They're somehow lucky or more advantaged than I am. And maybe I'm just not, worthy or something. This is where comparison gets to be really self-destructive. Okay. So no, everything happens by law. We can boil this all down to cause and effect, right? And it's not personal, right? It's not personal. It doesn't know who you are, right? You need to know who you are. Okay. And that's how you ask, right? If we're going to go back to like the idea of ask and it shall be given you, not might be, shall be. Okay. So how do you ask? How do you work with the law? In fact, that's our next book that we're going to be studying in our book study group. So if you haven't grabbed a copy already, grab a copy, Working with the Law by Raymond Hollywell. There's links for it in our members site. Read the first 2 chapters because we're going to get together on Monday and cover this. But the idea that you could more fully work with the law is a good and valid idea, that we could actually use the power of autosuggestion. In other words, the internal dialogue, that which we tell ourselves about ourselves and where we're going all day long, whether we know it or not, okay, that we could actually use that to our benefit to a higher degree. And so I was reminded about this today when I was lifting weights, which is typical. I was reminded that, you know what, I don't have a dream board per se that could show me images of financial independence. If it's my intent, and it is, all right, to get to a point in the very near future where I can transition out of, let's say, earned income into capital gains. Think about this. For those of you who've read any Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant, you've got employees and self-employed people and business owners. They're earning income. That's called people working, with or without leverage. Okay. But that's people working. That's one way to make money in the world, right? There's one other way, only one other way to make money in the world. And that is money working. That is money finding gainfully employment and making you more money. And it would be a good idea to use both methods. But there gets to a point, and this is what Kiyosaki talks about, there's a point where you don't need to earn money anymore to pay your electric bill or whatever. Okay. You earn money to buy assets, and then you live on the capital gains from the assets, right? So you want to go get the new car, the motorcycle, the wristwatch, or whatever it happens to be. You're doing that from the gains that you make because money is working. You may still work, right? You have a business that you enjoy and you earn money, but it's not because you need to pay the water bill, right? It's to go buy more assets, to keep building your empire. All right. So at what point does one transition out of earned income into capital gains as a way of, paying for basic needs and whatever standard of living they have? Well, obviously, the higher your standards, the more capital gains you're going to need, the more residual or passive income you're going to need to be able to say, you know what, I could choose to work or choose not to work. I work because I enjoy my work, not because I need to pay the bills or whatever, right? So that for me is financial independence. Okay, so then I've got to look at, all right, so how much passive income am I earning? How much capital would I need to make a reasonable, return on investments and trading and all the other assets, right? Could be rental property income, whatever. Okay, but here's how much I would require in terms of a monthly, dividend or receipt for me to not have to earn money. That's the trick. Okay, so what does that look like? Well, let's figure out what standard of living. Okay, so is it? I'll just throw out some numbers here. Is it $10,000 a month? Is that your, monthly nut, so to speak? Right? Is it 20? Is it 5? I don't know. Hopefully, okay. And then how are we fashioning the methods of capital gains or recurring or residual income to facilitate that, whether we work or not? Okay, so we set our standards, and then we look at what methods can we accomplish or can we put in place to accomplish them. But if we're vague about that, then you get to be vague. There's no picture there. Again, it's nebulous. So how do we operate with autosuggestion? I'm going to say that the thing that I'm looking at doing now, because it's easy for me to show up on, ramtrucks.com or Indian motorcycles or whatever, and look at, or Harley Davidson, who've already gotten plenty of my money, but it's easy for me to show up there and for them to show me pictures, and there's nothing nebulous about the pictures. In fact, the pictures are spectacular. They got professional photographers, and look at the stuff, give us money, look at the stuff, give us money. So that's very easy to do. And yeah, you can cut pictures out of magazines or whatever. But I'm recommending for myself, and you guys can do this too if you want, is to think about the bigger game. What do you really want, and what does it look like? And if you're coming up with a question mark on that, what does it look like? What does financial independence look like? What does the ideal relationship look like? Right? Do you have a picture for that? I'm going to suggest, because we tend to think in pictures, right, that you start looking at symbols that correlate with the intention. You could grab magazines like, Rob Report. Anyone ever read Rob Report? I know Edward has, right? You've seen this, right? And there's, actually, I haven't seen the Rob Report in a long time. I'm guessing they still publish it. Luxury lifestyle, right? Rolls Royce, mansions, yachts, private islands. You got $20 million just laying around, you don't know what to do with. You can go ahead and grab an island, right? Off of Fiji. So thinking bigger, that's real, right? I mean, if nobody had islands, then why would they be selling them in Rob Report? So somebody owns islands. That's real. Private jets, yachts, right? Exotic Bugattis and everything else. Okay, so expand our view into what does that look like? So these are symbols, okay? But what about something like, what about that bank statement? Everybody knows what a bank statement looks like, right? What if you went ahead and grabbed one of those, printed it out, or if it came in the mail or whatever, and white out the numbers that are, now that you're done with that bank statement, you don't need to look at those numbers anymore. You go ahead and you could do like photo editing on your computer, right? And then you put in whatever number you want to see. You could do the same thing with your investing account, your portfolio, right? And hang that on the wall. I mean, if you like to look at pleasing numbers, well, let's go ahead and invent some pleasing numbers there. And now you've got something to look at. Now it's not so nebulous. And here's the trick. There's no force on that. I mean, if it's in your face every day, right? Just like the guy who I mentioned with the car, right? He kept looking at that color car, that car. This actually happened for us too. My wife and I, one of our companies that we work with, we have there's a car stipend, there's a bonus, right? You can, a certain amount of production, they go ahead and buy you a car, whatever kind of car you want. And she wanted this minivan, which is terribly exciting. I'll tell you what, it's a spectacular minivan. It's a Chrysler Pacifica Limited. It's like $50,000 minivan. But anyway, I went online and I got a couple of pictures of this thing, and I made digitally. I just made something I could print out and hang over her desk. And I knew she liked white. We're in Arizona, so white's popular. For me, I'll take any color as long as it's black, but she wanted white. And so there was different like interiors, like different color leather, and the appointments inside the vehicle with the navigation system and all that stuff. Anyway, so I just grabbed some good photography off of Chrysler.com, and I made a little document, a little 8.5 by 11 thing I could print off on the printer in full color, and I just hung it over her desk. And about 3 months later, we qualified for the car bonus and went to one of the local Chrysler dealers. And they apparently were too busy to talk to us. Oh, well. Oh, why aren't we making sales? I don't know. That customer just left the car lot. Maybe we weren't dressed right that day. I don't know. Of course, today being Fun Friday, I'm wearing a silk Tommy Bahama shirt, which you guys, I don't think you've ever seen me wear this. This has like palm tree embroidery in the back. And anyway, so there you go. But we walked off of this lot after seeing they had a few in stock, which were nice. You know, they had some of the limiteds there. It was nice. Okay. We wound up driving to this other dealership, and we walked in, and they had exactly the car, interior, exterior, everything, exactly as it was on the board, exactly that. And I didn't realize it when I was cutting out the pictures that it's that certain like saddle brown leather that is actually the picture I cut out. I was just giving her pictures of, of minivans, and it turns out that there's two different kinds of white. This is like the crystalline white with the little flecks of, metallic whatever in there, not the cheap white. This is the upgraded white. Oh, okay. Very good. And it had every other option you could imagine, including the dealer add-ons, which they want to get a couple extra $1,000 for, which we didn't pay for anything because they had to get this car off the lot because it had been sitting there 6 months, and they're a high volume dealership. And not many people are coming in buying limiteds, right? They're buying the basic models and, the Jeeps and whatever. Exactly the car that was on the dream board. So be careful with this, all right? Because this is a loaded gun I'm heading into right now. Can you fashion some pictures in your mind and be very judicious? And can you go find things that represent those symbols, right? That represent those, and put them in your face to the point where, whether you're thinking about it consciously or not, subconsciously you keep seeing it. So autosuggestion, automatic suggestion, that's what we're talking about. This works for you or against you, whether you're thinking about it or not. So would it be a good idea to stack the deck in our favor, to give the commands, right, to ask in a proper way, right, by constant spaced repetition and by relaxed. It's not like you're looking at the bank statement that you mocked up or the car or whatever it happens to be, right? It's not like you're forcing yourself to look at it, because now you've created, now is the time when we shall burn the incense or rub the crystals, and now we shall think about our goals. No, you see it all the time, to your benefit or to your detriment, all the time. That's, when like in the Bible, Paul said, pray without ceasing. That's it. That's it right there. Pray without ceasing. Can you do that? You're doing it. You're doing it. Whether you know it or not, you're doing it. You keep thinking in the patterns that you're thinking, you keep seeing the images that you're seeing, which could be your problems, could be what's wrong with the world, is why you don't watch the news, okay? Could be whatever deficits or how you can't, right? Okay. Ask and it shall be given you. There was a book, written 20 something years ago, Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. He said, back to this idea of ask and it shall be given you. He said, he mocked up this conversation with God. And he said, you said that, ask and it shall be given you. And I keep asking, but you don't answer my prayer. I say, I want money. I want money. And here I am, I'm broke. I keep saying, I want money. And, you don't listen. And then God responded. He said, yeah, I answered your prayer. You keep saying you want money. So you get to want money. Perfection. There it is. Nothing vague about that. You get to want money. Oh, my goodness. This is a blessing and a curse, you guys. Be real careful with it. So my suggestion to you is pick one thing. It doesn't have to be a big production, although I suppose it could be. You can make the board. You could make the shrine, I suppose. You can do whatever you want, but pick one thing. And then just make sure it's in your face every day where you do your work, and including and especially where you find yourself spending a lot of time thinking about other things. That would be a really good idea. So every time, let's say you're on the phone with a client, okay, or you're doing the product sourcing thing, or whatever you're engaged in, right? And you're on the phone with the client, and while you're talking to the client, you see in your peripheral vision the thing, where you're going, your destination. You keep seeing it, right? Think about how this can give you, again, that relaxed confidence, that air of knowingness and certainty, despite the fact that you're doing something seemingly unrelated. Here's my busy work, right? Here's my stuff that I need to do, logistics or whatever, but it's all for that guaranteed future outcome, which I keep seeing, whether I'm consciously thinking about it or not. Keeps going in. That's autosuggestion. So yeah, we're just talking about using tools, props, cheats, call it whatever you want, to stack the deck in our favor. And my goodness, could we all use that, right? Especially if you've been subjecting yourself to the suggestions of the outside world, which isn't necessarily friendly towards your purposes. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm telling you to be paranoid. I'm just telling you that there are people with intentions counter to your intentions. Your intentions have to be that solid and that unwavering and that implacable that you operate in that certain way, like Wallace talked about, acting in the certain way, thinking in the certain way, the way of certainty, the way of no doubt. Okay, and we can't do that if we're vague. Don't be vague about this. Again, I have this conversation every day with numerous people who are looking to get into business and create success for themselves. And I ask them that question: what do you want? And many of them are vague or apologetic. Like if they get more, somehow somebody else is going to get less. Oh my goodness, the programming that has gone through, modern society is breathtaking, fascinating, right? How people have been sold a bill of goods that clearly isn't serving anyone except, I guess, those who want power over them. Right? That's another conversation for another time. But I love you guys. I just want you to win, and win ostentatiously and big and powerfully, and go make a spectacle of yourself, because if not you, then who? I don't think the world needs any more victims. I think we got plenty of those, right? We need some leaders. Please go demonstrate success in common hours so that others can pick themselves up by their bootstraps and do something. And that's my message for you here today. It's already 27 minutes past the hour. How did that happen, Daisy? My goodness. All right. So we've got an open floor here. Once again, we do have, if you guys want to come on out, we got an intimate group here today. So you probably don't even need to raise your hands. Just unmute your mic and start running your mouth. But we do have our Be Heard session happening at 6 p.m. So remember that if you want to get together and talk about that. We are planning get together in Vegas. So looking forward to seeing a bunch of you there. And one of the things we will be doing is going across the Spring Mountains into Pahrump. And I'm getting you guys, whoever wants to go, into the Firearms Institute, biggest firearms range in the country, for some expert level training. And we're going to do that on the house. All right, just buy your own ammo. Who wants to talk? Please come on out and start talking. Commence talking. Hello, anybody? Hi, Lindsay.
Hey.
Hey, you got your hair down today.
Yeah, it's rare. Bring the ponytail, it's there. A lot of things were talking about autosuggestion, and like I do listen to that pretty much daily, but I like how you said think of it in symbols instead of not necessarily the perfect, I don't know, I've got a dream house in mind, but I haven't found a place for it yet. So I don't know where it's going to be. That's like my thing. But symbols, and you're right, like what is an independent honor game? I mean, that's something you can't, you can put it on a vision board, but that's something that you really just see. You can't print that out off, unless you make it on, Photoshop or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I really liked what you said about that. And then what we think about constantly is like praying without ceasing. You want money? Okay, you get to want money.
Yeah, right.
Done. Easy stuff.
Yeah, watch your language, right?
Yeah, I would say watch your words, but I've never thought of it like that. You want money? Okay. You get to want money. I like that. It's just getting more unvague and certain. That's
Unvague. We coined that phrase right here
I
at
know, I love
Mastermind
that.
Group.
It
Yeah.
works. It's really good. I try to get more unvague with
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
What do you
The
think?
actual word is specific, but I like unvague
I
better.
like that too. Yes. So yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Just going back to the auto suggestion, and it is. It's like if you're worried and frustrated about stuff. Well, worry's never solved anything for me.
Mhm.
I've tried it for a long time, but it did. We do. We need leaders. Stand up, get off your ass, and like just show people.
Yeah.
Action speaks louder than words. So, this was great.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Yeah, auto suggestion, automatic suggestion to what? To our self-image, to our subconscious, to that which we're not necessarily thinking about. Right? That's the army that goes and does the work. Okay. This is the general right here. So be careful with the orders, right? Don't say you want money. Don't say that. All right. Anybody else? Come on out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hey, Mr. Mosley. Good to see you, brother.
I try to subdue myself from speaking as much as I had been. So
oh, please don't.
That's why.
It's always a thrill. Always a thrill. Come on out.
Well, one of the things that really jumped out to me with this conversation, and also with the conversation we had yesterday with Shannon, is the dream board is fantastic. But what would even be better is the dream environment that you would create. In other words, like what I've been experimenting with is, I use these earbuds, and I have one when I'm talking to my prospects, and I have another one that's I'm listening to The Magic of Believing by Bristol. And he's telling me
Claude Bristol.
Yeah. And he's telling me, different things. And then I look around the room and I got posters up about, how many dials I've got to make and that sort of thing. And then I look over at my big TV, and I've got YouTube going that gives me all these different images of success and prosperity and, my vision and everything. So basically what I've done is I've tried to create an atmosphere, a vision board environment. And what it does, it kind of keeps you in the vibration you need in order to continue with the action steps you got to take, because without the action steps, it all stops. So, that might be something that everybody can look at. And not only, doing that, but also the things you talked about today about, creating a statement from the bank and creating an investment account and vision that you have and all that and the cars and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, on YouTube, you got Bugattis and you got, huge mansions and huge yachts and all that sort of thing that may or may not be what you want, but it's a vibration that you got to have in order to have, the impression of increase. So, I'm just, really encouraged by, the information you gave today. And I think that is very, very applicable. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. So Ed just brought up a great point, is that you might not want the Bugatti, right? If I had $1 million to throw at a car right now, I wouldn't. Okay. So Bugattis are $1 million. Like, where would I drive it? But anyway, just knowing that stuff exists as a regular knowingness, yeah, that's a common thing in the world, right? There's such a thing as Bugattis. Okay, great. Does that not expand our acceptance of an abundant lifestyle? Yeah, that exists. That exists. And it's not my path, but hey, you like Bugattis. They're making Bugattis right now for somebody, right? That's real. That's real. So the more real you allow this to be for you, the more it will permeate your actions, right? So now you're not scraping like a rat looking for cheese. I mean, there's Bugattis over there. Wow, bigger game. Let's play a bigger game. I'm not settling, right? I may not want the Bugatti, but my goodness, I do want that thing, right? Good. Awesome, Edward. Thank you. Anybody else today? Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I like the idea that you said about the bank statement. I've never thought of doing that.
Mhm.
And my goal is to have enough money to be able to spend 3 months in Switzerland with my in-law family and 3 months in Australia with my family and 6 months here with my kids and their families. And how do you put that on a dream board? But maybe putting the bank statement down and maybe a plane with Switzerland and Australia. I don't know. I think I might try that.
Well, you've already got like an idea on time allotment. So maybe it's a circle and that represents a year. And then maybe there's the percentage of the year and there's pictures of Switzerland for that portion of the year, right? I mean, that sounds strategic,
Mhm.
right? And then maybe a calendar around it, January, February, March, right? And just, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, this is great. We're masterminding here. This is
And
good stuff.
when you started talking about dream board, I thought, what's the difference between a dream board and the vision board? Isn't that the same
No,
thing?
it's, yeah, words. It's
Yeah.
it's just it's prompts. It's props, I should say. It's that which is giving you imagery, which means something to you, right? You recognize that is Switzerland. Okay, great. So that means something to you, and whether you're consciously thinking about it or not, it keeps showing up. It keeps showing up, just like that car showed up in my garage now.
Yeah.
'Cause there it is every day. Right.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome.
Mhm.
You are so welcome. By the way, I did the bank statement trick. This was going back some years, and then I got it for real. In fact, just a little tidbit for everyone. At the time, I was promoting a business, which was high ticket direct sales. There was significant startup costs and all this, and I would talk to people who had responded to advertisements who were interested in getting into business, and this was, it was for people who wanted to play a bigger game. It wasn't like a little $1,000 multi-level marketing deal or anything, and so they sometimes I would get skeptics. They were skeptical, and so I wound up scanning in a real bank statement of what it looks like to deposit over $100,000 in a month, right? So I was making $100,000 in a month. And here are people that wanted to make, 10, 20, right? That was their goals. Okay. But sometimes people were skeptical. And so they wanted more proof for something. So I actually scanned in a bank statement and sent it to them. Like, here's $100,000 a month. And every single person who I ever showed proof to that particular bank statement, none of them ever got started. Ever. Right? In other words, that was not real for them. Something's got to be wrong with this. It's unattainable. It's not real. Okay. Even though it was quite real, but not for them. So had they, and this, I guess, is the consideration, is that if you're confronting opportunities in your life that could get you where you want to go, but you haven't already made it real for you, because that auto suggestion isn't working on your behalf, right? Because you're not putting the images in. Could you filter out those opportunities that could in fact get you where you want to go? Here are people raising their hand and saying, I want more money and more financial ability and earning ability. All right, here's a vehicle where you could do it. Here's proof that it actually exists, but that doesn't mean they're going to accept it. Right? A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So I would suggest that you convince yourself, and then you can actually see opportunities when they show up. Because we were crushing it. My goodness, we were making money. Holy crap. But not for that guy. Right. And if someone has that much resistance where they need something to be proven to them again and again, even though the evidence is all over the place, yeah, of course they're not getting started. They can't see it. They can't see it.
Hey, John, you remember the tagline we used to use?
What?
Don't believe it, don't call.
Yeah. Edward, I met Edward back in those days, 20 something years ago. And there was an advertisement that what Ed was just citing that ended with that, realistic, substantial six-figure income, call toll-free number. Don't believe it, don't call. That's great. Yeah. But what is that? That's flippancy. Look, if you know, right? I don't need to convince you,
It's certainty. It's certainty. That certain way. Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm not here to sell you on this. I'm not in the convincing business. We're walking the path. You can walk the path with us, or there's the gutter, I suppose. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, some people would consider that arrogant, which could be another thing that holds one back, where that, well, I don't want to occur as arrogant. Oh, you're going to occur however people filter. Reality is based on their filters, not based on you, right? Or what's the truth or whatever, right? It's based on their filters. So yeah, you're going to polarize people. Edward, you polarize people. I think you're friggin' awesome. I'm sure there are some people on planet Earth, for whatever reason, don't. Oh, well.
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
I read a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, work and live this day as it might be your last. He said, because one day, certainly, it will be. And that's basically what that whole advertisement was all about,
Right. Good times. All right, my friends, anybody else before we wrap up for today? Thank you for this conversation, by the way. This was something that was just, I know it sounds simple, but my goodness, it hit me. It hit me today. It was like auto-suggestion. Where's your dream board, John? I'm going to go get something on my wall right now. So I'll see you guys at 6 p.m. Those of you who want to tune in, any questions or any ideas, be heard. All right. It's for me to listen and for you to talk. 6 p.m. Eastern. I will see you guys there. Make it a great day.